So welcome to this webinar. This webinar is called Tonight It Starts With You, and it's about how to build a thriving life and business that has an amazing impact on others. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching the video if you're catching on the recording. So I really wanted to talk to you tonight about the work that I do with my clients. And what I've learned with my experience is that actually I help them to start looking for solutions and for insights inside of them instead of looking for solution and for everything outside of themselves. That's the best way in my experience to find temporary solutions and temporary bandages, but that does not really provide long-term changes. And research and science now really put that in evidence, that it's not outside circumstances and action that create your happiness, but rather that happiness comes first as an internal state and then enables you to build your life and create that enjoying life, that you're being more productive and more aligned in everything that you do. So I'm going to go and start with, we're going to have 3 different sections today in that presentation. So the first part is going to be about the mindset, the second part about the clarity, and the third part about strategy. Before I dive into that, I'll say a few words about myself, just as a short presentation. So I'm Coach Clem, I'm a certified coach, and my area of expertise is to help people, in majority women, with the calling to help others create the life and business that they are craving for. So typically they want to become therapist or coach, maybe a teacher, wellness professional, or other business in service. And I help them to work on the mindset and the inner balance, get some clarity on their needs and their goal, creating the vision, the roadmap, and the strategy to reach those goals and create a successful business. I'm originally from France, coming to you tonight from the UK. And my initial career, my first career was actually in teaching. I have a master's degree in teaching languages. That made me, in the first part of my career, travel the world and teach languages in a lot of different countries. I went to India, to Colombia, to Spain, to the UK as well, and back to France after that. I went back to France and then created the first business that I worked on, which was a bilingual nursery. That was a very successful business. And while I was working on that business, I started doing a deep personal work on myself and realized that even though the business was thriving, my calling was in coaching. So I decided to transition to coaching, train as a coach, and create my coaching business. So it really makes sense for me as well, having been also in the service business, in the service industry for a while, to help people also do that, build that life internally and also externally with the business. So that feels really aligned with my experience in my purpose. So starting with the idea of a mindset. So my experience of actually working with people and also working myself with in this situation, in this circumstance, was that I realized that I had to overcome limiting beliefs and self-sabotage. What I mean by that is that usually people, and that was the case also for myself, are really, really good at putting everybody else first and putting themselves last. So they really used to sacrificing themselves, or at least over-compromising. So they live a life and they settle sort of for less than what they could be doing. And usually they're really good. They're really good at what they do. They get good results, but internally they don't feel that fulfillment. And it is actually something I've learned as well about myself, about the fact that I was adapting too much. I've always told that I was very adaptable, that I would adapt to you, like a chameleon, really. Like, this is why I choose that picture. You could put me in a different country, in a different culture. I was eager to learn, curious. I love to discover. But I also realized that I was a lot of a people's pleaser and tended to sort of become someone else, transform myself, what I call alienating myself, adapting too much to my surroundings and losing who I was. my identity, my strength, and just sort of completely being confused. And so that could have been, for example, for me, with what people expected of me. So maybe my parents, my teacher, my classmates, and so I discovered that what was actually one of my greatest strengths, which was empathy, and I was using that too much, overusing it, which was actually creating a sabotage. I was becoming a people's pleaser. I was completely forgetting about my needs, and for a long time, wasn't sure about who I was, what I liked, what I wanted. I was good at school. I did a lot of different things. I did swimming competitions. I did piano classes, painting classes, etc. But inside, it felt really empty. Didn't know why I was doing things, and eventually, in my teenage years, developed an eating disorder. So this is why also I do that type of work with my clients, because I realize that some of them, for example, come from a career in charity or in healthcare or hospitality. So they're really used to just giving everything and giving too much sometimes, not finding that balance between them and others. So what I call alienating. So alienating, I quite like that word, alienating, because it's really about becoming someone that you are not. So you, as an alien from another planet. So you're becoming something that's not you. And to overcome that, I found that it's really important to make the distinction actually between adapting and alienating. It's amazing to adapt, but we don't want to go too far and start alienating yourself. And what we want to create is, instead of this sacrifice and compromise and giving too much, and that leads a lot of time to burnout, or at least to unfulfillment and unhappiness, we want to create a virtuous circle, right? And that virtuous circle starts by yourself. It starts with you. It starts by helping yourself so that you can help others. So like a lot of things in life, it's going to be about recreating the balance, rebalancing things, because we cannot give and help others. And all the people that I work with, I really have this amazing calling to have an impact on others, to help them have a better life, and also maybe have a better community, maybe a better society, trying to make the world a better place, at everyone's own level. So the fact is that you cannot be able to do that if you are not fulfilled, happy, balanced yourself. You are in no position to be of service for others if that is not secured for you. You have to lead by example, and also you have to have your resources, your batteries charged regularly, so that you have enough energy to keep going. So that is when you're able to do that, nourishing yourself, helping yourself so that you can help others, then it also nourishes you, that you have been able to help others. So it becomes a very virtuous circle, really balancing out the energy as well for you, and avoiding the burnout, really creating something more sustainable instead of draining yourself, because you refill and you nourish yourself along the way while you do that. So how do we do that then? How do we manage to rebalance things? So it has to be of course, on a very sort of deep level, on the brain level. We got to reprogram it. We got to change the operating system that's in place. And this is usually the initial phase of my coaching work with my clients. We are, of course, in life we've been learning things. So at this stage, we try to becoming aware of what's there, of the program in place, so that we can unlearn and so that we can relearn. We can create a better system for us, the better habits, a better way of functioning. And there are different ways of doing this. What I found very, very efficient is the principles of positive intelligence. It's an amazing program combining the science of positive psychology, behavioral and cognitive psychology, as well as performance science. It's like sort of the summary of 10 years of research in those different areas. And it's about becoming aware of this internal sabotage, or we could call this internal system that is put in place, and giving you access to a different programming, to access to who you truly are. Because again, coming back to the analogy of alienating, we don't want you to become someone else, someone you are not, someone that you think that might be expected of you, but you want you to access who you truly are, so that you can find your place within the society and help then others to do the same with you. So it's really about rebalancing both sides of the brain, rewire the left and the right. So it's a lot about balance. And taking new habits. So of course it's going to be I'm going to be sharing with you just a very sort of simplified way of explaining what happens in the brain. But we could say, of course, on the neurological level, it's a lot more complex. But we could say that the rational side of the brain is more on the left side of the brain. It's more logical, rational, thinking sort of aspect of the brain. While the right side of the brain would be more the side of the creativity, the passion, the intuition, and the calm focus sort of aspect. Sorry. And we have been developing in our culture and this civilization sort of a Albert Einstein describes it really, really well. Actually, we've created a worshipping of the left side of the brain, of the logical, with science, everything in school. Most of things in school are focused on hard skills and on logic and on reasoning. And we have forgotten or not used or not trained as much as we should have the right side of the brain. So this program, there are different ways to doing that. There's also a lot of great things around NLP and a lot of sorts of different techniques. But this coaching program, Positive Intelligence, really enables to actually do that, to rebalance, to also access the right side of the brain, to rebalance, and so that we are not completely overcome by our left side of the brain, but we're able to balance it with the right side and really get the best out of our amazing brain. And overcome this inner sabotage, accessing more and more who you truly are, and creating a different mindset. And for my clients, for the people I work with, it really results in creating some inner strength. So something a lot more balanced. And when you reach balance, of course, there's a sense of strength that comes with it. You're more aligned. You feel more like standing in your power in a way. So you have access to more power at the same time. And creating an entrepreneurial mindset is also something that we work on, and that is really important as well, to be able to handle the business and everything that comes with it. Because being an entrepreneur is also a lot about leaving your comfort zone and stepping into your adventure zone. And I really like this analogy, because the adventure zone brings a lot of novelty, brings a lot of innovative things, brings a lot of things that are exciting, rather than talking about leaving your comfort zone. Because if you talk about leaving your comfort zone, you're missing comfort. Maybe you're giving away comfort. No, we don't want to give away good things. We want to get more great things. And in your adventure zone is going to bring so much to you in your life. While you have this inner strength, you'll be able to handle that a lot better. And I love this quote by Michael Bloomberg, who says, being an entrepreneur isn't really about starting a business. It's a way of looking at the world, seeing opportunity when others see obstacles, and taking risks when others take refuge. So I really like that, this opposition between fear, basically fear of risk, fear of problems, fear of what could go wrong, and seeing, oh, what could actually go right, seeing opportunity. It's a very positive sort of mindset, seeing solution, being daring as well. Being an entrepreneur, creating your own business, even if it's just a solopreneur, is also something very daring. And it's about what you can do as uniquely as you can do it. So that's the first part of the work on the mindset and on the inner strength. And we're going to move on to talking about the clarity. So what do I mean about clarity? So clarity is really connected to self-awareness. So understanding, while now that we've developed with that mindset, an ability to access more who you are, to access more this being inside of you, beyond those limiting beliefs, beyond those fears, beyond those sabotage, we can then get a lot more clarity on what you need and what your goals are for you, not for anybody else. We're not interested so much about what others think we should be doing or society, etc. What we want is to know what works for you. So I'm presenting, of course, today three different aspects. So we said mindset, clarity, and strategy. When I coach people, I do not necessarily go through those phases in a chronological order. Things can be threaded together. We can be working on the mindset as well as working, for example, on self-awareness. It doesn't have to be like 3 steps in a program, for example. We are all complex beings. So there are things and stages that we go through sometimes in a connecting way. So what is very interesting here, and the thing that I always point people back to is what works for you. And I wanted to share with you this little definition of work. So this is my personal way of defining work and what I've come to realize about work. That work is a way to contribute to the world, bringing and receiving value. So that might be a good starting point for you, actually, to reflect on that question. What is work for you? What does that mean to work? Because we're talking about a business, right? We're talking about an activity. And it doesn't have to be, even if you're a student or if you're retired, you can still be doing some work as a contribution. So there might be other words that describe that better for you. But what I've realized when I decided to stop my initial business and to go into coaching, that was more aligned with my vocation, is that I was not able in my previous jobs to deliver the value that I had deep in me. It was not only about receiving the value that I deserved, because that was going all right. I was receiving some money, but I was not receiving maybe the results and the impact that I wanted to have in the world. So the question can be, what is work for you? Or the other question that maybe resonates better with you would be, what is success for you? What do you want to build? What do you want to achieve? What is it all about with you, with this idea of creating possibly in business and having an impact on others? So whichever way works, that really enables to access maybe a deeper level and an access to what is going to be right for you, because it's going to be very aligned with this mission, with this meaning for you. So how do we do that? How do we access more clarity so we can get to work with the amazing tools? I love to use different tools. I mentioned already positive intelligence, but I also use coaching tools that are amazing in this process of discovering and building your business. So this is an example of one of the tools that I use. It is called the Ikigai. So there are more present. Yeah, there's actually a presentation on my YouTube channel, more specifically on the Ikigai, if you would like to know more about it. So it's really a coaching tool that enables to find more clarity about your purpose, about what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. So that can be a very great initial tools to discover, to uncover things for you specifically, what you need, because we want to have access to what you need instead of what you think you want, which would be probably a sabotage as well, probably the saboteurs inside of you, what you think you want. Because sometimes we have ideas as well. So this is why this part on clarity on your goals and your needs are very, very, very crucial. We don't want to set up for, 10 years in business, commitment in a business that's going to take you 10 years and with some investment of money. We don't want to set that on the goals that do not correspond to what's very deep inside of you. So that would be typically for people that are a bit interfered, and that's absolutely normal and natural to be interfered by some limiting beliefs. For example, I will be happy when this and that happens, etc. So these for some people that, as you're very aware of, some of the richest people in the world never get enough money and still need more, and they'll be happy when they always have a next when, right? When they have a billion, a trillion, etc. And they're just sort of always postponing that goal, and that's never ending, and they never get that fulfillment, because this is not actually what's inside of them. This is not really their true goal, if you their mission, right? So when we work with that, when we work on that clarity, the result that we get is also an ability to reconciliate things and to create a consistency, an alignment with all that is you. Because we have the impression a lot of time, and that's very common among the people I work with, we have the impression of being fragmented. Or I have my personal life, I have my work life, I have my family life, I have maybe my passions, or maybe I like that, maybe I've done that in the past, and that's completely disconnected. So we have the impression of having a sense of disconnection, even inside of us and with the world. And while we get on that clarity, what's amazing is actually what happens is that it all makes sense. We start to see that our story makes sense, our skills, our experience, and the service we're going to be providing. It's just completely aligned. The more clarity, the more you access this space of clarity, the more you actually access something also greater. And that's what I call a state of reconciliation. And that's ongoing, of course. It keeps evolving, and we keep seeing new things about ourselves, which is absolutely fine. There's no limit to that. Life is about long-term learning, isn't it? So what we get as a result of that work, that part on clarity, we get congruence and consistency, with this ability to stand in your power and have the ownership of you as you are, as a whole, not as fragmented or distorted or dispersed. For a lot of people, there's this impression of dispersion as well. It doesn't make sense. It's chaotic. Yeah, and here I'd like to quote our dear Gandhi: "Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony." So this is what we're going for. We're reaching towards that consistency, congruence, alignment, which creates then an ability to be in a state of flow, which is the main step to be able to take action. So this is why I've started this presentation starting about the mindset and the clarity before we're talking about actions and action steps, because it is very, very important to have this inner alignment to then being able to create some movement and take action from this state. So we're going to talk about the strategy now. So the strategy is about creating the vision, the roadmap, and the different action steps to reach the goals. And this is what we could call also self-management. And the analogy that I really like for this aspect is the analogy of surfing the waves. And I'd like to quote John Kabat-Zinn at this point: "You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." So this is really a great teaching about resilience and true adapting, to go back to this notion of adapting, concept of adapting that we mentioned early on in the presentation. So instead of maybe blaming the waves of life, they're going to come, they're going to go. The market, maybe if we're in business, there's going to be movement, there's going to be things changing. So instead of maybe blaming that, we can be a lot more proactive, and we can be ready to take action, surfing the wave, adapting them, and actually enjoying the ride as well. So how do we do that? how do we manage to get to that flow of surfing? So I use also a lot of different tools with my clients, again, depending on where they're at and what they need. One of the great tools can be a vision board. So the vision board is a way to also picture the vision, the mission, that you get with more clarity. So that was more in the second part at the end. Or while you keep working towards your clarity, you've been able then to picture. So vision board can actually be something that you do with pictures. So you put different pictures in a piece of paper. You can be cutting things out of the magazine, or also creating on a computer. So that enables you to have a vision, to have a compass where you that you can check on regularly. Am I going towards that? Am I in the right direction there? And that is, for me, working on the why. So I really like to use this pyramid when it comes to business strategy. The first step is always to have some clarity of about the why. So that's something, of course, covered by the work on the mindset and also the work on the clarity. But going a little bit deeper, what are my values? What is my mission? In terms of business. Because what happens is that people tend to rush to the how. What's the market there? Let's sell that product. Or is there whatever potential in this market, and etc. And I'll go into that. But when we're talking about service, when we're talking about having an impact on people, it is very crucial to actually go back and start with the why, and be very, very strong on why we're doing that and defining that in depth. Then we can move on defining the what and the who. So that would be defining possibly your service or your product, if you're going for a product-based business, and also refining the customers you're going to be working for, the clients, or what we call as well the niche. So defining and refining your service is actually working on the what. What is it then that I want to provide? What is it in detail that I have to offer? My service, the service I'm bringing to the world. We could even reframe. For some people, they prefer, actually, rather than talking about business, to talk about service. What is the service that I'm providing? They found that there is a big strength, because business is a word that's being a lot used, and it's a bit overused, and we hear it a lot, etc. And it's associated maybe to different things that cannot be always very philanthropic. So if that helps, that could be something for you to talk about your service. And then the how. So the how is about how then you're going to create that strategy. It can be the business plan. It can be the market study, if need be, the marketing, the branding, etc. So they can be very hard skills, but the importance I've found, so with working with people, is always to include soft skills within them. A business plan, if it's only worked from a hard skills point of view, it's a bit empty, and we don't want to disconnect and to lose that connection with the why, with the meaning, with the reason, and with the people. So we really want there to be able to actually see skills, and I've only written skills here on the presentation, because hard and soft skills have to be connected. We have to implement them together when it comes to marketing, when it comes to communication, etc. Again, maybe words that have been used a lot that we hear. So, for example, working on the how is very connected, in my experience in working with clients, with self-confidence, because of course it's quite exposing. I'm exposing myself. I'm going out there. I'm talking about my services, what I'm doing with people. So there is usually also work on the imposter syndrome that can be arising, and that can come in waves. That is normal. We keep on working with it as it goes along. Then, because we've built a stronger resilience, a stronger ability to overcome this challenge and to serve the wave, it goes better. But it's always, of course, back and forth to the other parts that I've been mentioning. But it is really, really crucial not to lose sight, even if we're doing something that can seem a little bit, how can I put that, a bit academic, let's say, like a market study that has a methodology and things like that. It's so important to stay connected with those soft skills, and to keep track on that vision, on that why, and keep it very human. We don't want to miss that at all. So, and as a result of that strategic work, what we get is actually an ease and flow, a state of ease and flow in action, because we are really working from a place that works for you. Of course, there's going to be a lot of learning of new things, and it's of course a learning curve, and maybe learning new skills, etc. But the point is to find what works for you. We know in business that a lot of different types of business and modalities, especially in marketing, exist, from paper to 100% digital to loads and loads and loads of different sides of strategies. So it's not about doing it all and going out there, for example, for marketing and doing absolutely everything that's available. That's impossible. But finding the way that's going to work for you and the meaning that it's got to be consistent from the why to the how. And that is why this pyramid again really works. So from this state of ease and flow, action is really a different experience, and you're really able to build then that business, helping yourself and then helping others with more productivity and also more certainty, a sense of certainty that's super important. So as a conclusion, I just wanted to recap a little bit there the transformation that we're reaching for with this work. And this is why it's actually very deep, and you can see here the connection between personal development and professional development. Here is just the same thing right here for a lot of people that I work with, and as it was for myself. So we're going from over-sacrificing, self-sabotage, probably confusion and dispersion and unhappiness, to building inner strength, certainty, and fulfillment. Being realization of your full potential. And I wanted to finish up with this quote by the Dalai Lama, saying that real change in society must start from individual initiative. And I wanted to share this quote because for a lot of people, there might be also this belief that that it could be maybe potentially selfish to wanting to work on yourself. But I just wanted to remind you that my vision of about that is actually, while you do that, while you're starting with yourself, it's not about either others or me, as we can maybe think from a point of sacrifice. Oh, I'm either of service of others, or I'm either of service of myself. No, it's actually both. For it to completely work, it's actually both. Tending to yourself, tending to your needs, so that you can be of service of others, which gives you value back. And that, in essence, I believe, creates a better world, because you enable yourself to find your place, to find the way to provide that value that fully and deeply resonates with you. And then you embody also an example. You become a lighthouse to others, that they have a proof that it is possible, that they can find their place in whichever way that means for them. It might be completely different, of course, for them, but it's a way to lead by example. It's a way to lead by example, and that in itself creates a better world. So it's going to be the way I'm going to be finishing this little presentation, just finishing by that true service actually starts with yourself. Thank you so much for your attention. These are the different contact information if you'd like to reach out with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you want to have a personal discussion one-to-one, you can access a free discovery session with me, and keep in touch on my social media. I'm going to stop the recording now so that we can go to Q&A and see what questions you have at this point.